आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्. Namaste everybody, I am Ramakrishna. In this video we will try to understand the Murti of Bhagavan Sri Varaha. As we know, Sri Varaha is the third avatar of Sri Mahavishnu, and this photo that you see here was clicked by me when I visited Rani Ki Vav, Patan, which is in Gujarat. Okay, just observe this sculpture or murti that is here. How intricate and beautiful and magnificent it is. You don't see such sculpture and murtis everywhere in the world, and we are very blessed that we see them in India, and we are really blessed. Okay, that our ancestors have sculpted something so beautiful, right? Basically, I want to make one point clear before discussing this murti. We visit temples, but rarely pay attention to what murtis of our gods stand for. We do not have any idea, or we do not pay attention to what actually they want to convey us. Our ancestors, for a reason, I'm saying, our ancestors, for a reason, okay, they wanted to convey us something, and that is the reason through these emblems and murtis, okay, they wanted to convey us some information. They wanted to say us some story. They wanted to convey us an event that has happened. And all that is sculpted on our temples and all the murtis, they are all like encyclopedia. Okay, and what we are seeing is here is one small part of it. So let us discuss this murti. Okay, Sri Varaha Bhagavan. And now the first element that you see here is called as Prabhavali. It is Prabhavali or Prabha Mandala also. It is also called as Prabha Mandala. In English, basically Prabhavali or Prabha Mandala is called as halo. What is halo? Halo is the light that you see behind the gods and goddesses. And what does this halo indicate? That halo indicates, or the Prabha Mandala indicates, that all the gods and goddesses are enlightened souls. So basically in Hinduism, okay, we have a lot of art to be done, and that is the reason that halo that is there behind has been slowly converted into such huge Prabhavali or Prabha Mandala. So all this, right from here to the top and to bottom, all this is called as a Prabha Mandala, Prabhavali. So basically what do they do is, on this Prabha Mandala generally we see jwalas or jwalas, the flames of fire, or basically we will see the information that is related to the main murti or god who is present in the center. For example, here you see, we can see all the avatars of Sri Mahavishnu, right? And then next, the second one that you see here, the second one we see here is Padma Chatra. It is basically Chatra, but then right, Padma Chatra, because it is lotus. Okay, and before discussing this, let me make one thing very clear. The Padma Chatra is made out of stone here. Okay, and imagine there will be a small joint between the main sculpture and this Padma Chatra, and even after many years, okay, it still stands there. Okay, and it is not broken. Imagine the level of dedication that they have put to carve this Padma Chatra. What a wonderful dedication and art that is. Unimaginable. Okay, and there cannot be any match for such work, no doubt. So this Padma Chatra, basically you can also call it as Chatra. Okay, an umbrella. So we see a Chatra almost above all god, basically when they are sitting on Simhasana. Okay, for example, Lord Rama, okay, you can see Chatra above his head. This is indication actually. Okay, the umbrella is used for high dignitaries. Okay, and it is symbol of high spirituality and spiritual power they have attained. And okay, for generations together. For generations together, our ancestors, okay, they have been trying to portray our gods with, okay, these chatras. Okay, in many temples, okay, and in different sculpture, you find such chatra. And one of the avatar of, okay, Sri Mahavishnu, Vamana avatar. Okay, you also see chatra. Chatra becomes one important element of the avatar. And then third one here is okay, the great Bhudevi herself. Okay, and she is rescued from Hiranyaksha, being okay, drowned in okay, from Patala Loka. And see the way, observe here, see the way she is touching the face of Bhagwan Varaha. It's so much, okay, affection. Okay, she's touching okay, the face, the mukha of Varaha. And that expression, importantly, that the expression that is being brought on the stone is unbelievable, right? And then you can see the posture of okay, Varaha Bhagavan, how it is. The posture of Varaha Bhagavan, or generally the hand, the posture of this hand is called as Bhujha Madhya. Bhujha, in the sense Bhujha Madhya, the middle of shoulder kind of. So the elbow basically. So the elbow mudra is called as Bhujha Madra Mudra. Bhujha Madhya, sorry. Right? And next, this is fourth element, and this is Gada, Gada of Sri Mahavishnu. The name of the Gada of Sri Mahavishnu is Kaumodaki. So we will discuss about these elements like Kaumodaki, Sudarshana Chakra, okay, Panchajanya, Shankha, okay, all these elements we will chatra, we will discuss them in detail when I start a series, okay, on Indian temple architecture and iconography. But then here, this video basically is a small trial video. I'm just checking how we can do, and I will come up with a series of lectures every week. I will release one lecture, and I will try to convey all the information that our beautiful temples hold in them. Right? And next, fifth one is Bhagavan himself. So I didn't say you like what Gada stands for. Okay, Kaumodaki Gada, it is the symbol of supreme sovereignty. It is supreme sovereignty or power. It's like he is the king of all, Chakravarti like. And next, fifth one is okay, Bhagavan Varaha himself. You can see. And then sixth element that is there here, yes, is Panchajanya, Panchajanya Shankha. And what does this Panchajanya Shankha stands for? It is a representation of Pranavanadam. And what is Pranavanadam? Pranavanadam is Om, the initial sound of the world, Om. And what does this Shankha stands for? Shankha is basically, you must have seen in Mahabharata Yuddha, okay, before starting a war, a Yodha will okay, blow the Shankha and he will start. So generally the commander, isn't it? So here he is like a commander. The Bhagavan is like a commander. Okay, and what is he doing? He is okay, blowing the Shankha, Panchajanya Shankha, like okay, starting a war on evil forces. So almost this Shankha is an important emblem of Indian okay, Hindu iconography. And why is it important? Because every god, what does he do? What does every god do? He will wage war on evil forces. And the next seventh element here we have Chakra. Okay, Chakra Sudarshana. A beautiful name, right? Sudarshana. Sudarshana. Okay. Now Sudarshana Chakra is also one important element. Okay, the chakra's name is Sudarshana Chakra. Important element of okay, God Sri Mahavishnu. And this Sudarshana Chakra represents Dharma. it stands for dharma. Okay, and it also represents basically generally, see, because what is Varaha doing here? He is upkeeping dharma here, and that is what is the representation. But basically it also stands for cycle of samsara. The life on this earth, isn't it, is a circle. We come here, we go, and we come, and that is a cycle. And what is the essence of this life? We have to get rid of that cycle, right? Now next is eighth element is okay, a mudra. This is a mudra, and the name of this mudra is Katyavalambita mudra. Katyavalambita mudra. And what is this Katyavalambita? Katyavalambita is a combination of two words, Kati plus Avalambita. Kati means kamar, the hip. So you just place hanging arm on your hip in a very relaxed posture. Very relaxed posture. And see, here he is standing in a relaxed posture. What does that indicate? It indicates that he do not take any stress to fight on evil forces. He will happily, with a lot of relax, lot of great poise, he will handle all that ill forces, and he will come up victorious. And that is the meaning of Katyavalambita mudra. And then ninth element, this is again Katyavalambita mudra is Hasta mudra. Okay, and then again I am saying you, we will discuss all these mudras: Hasta mudras, Pada mudra, Sharira mudra, all this. Okay, now Pada mudra, this is Pada mudra, and the name of this Pada mudra is Alidam. And what does Alidam mean? Alidam means okay, he is ready for action, always attentive, ready for action. And generally we see this mudra in Tripurantaka Shiva. Okay, when he is to demolish the three great cities. And then we also see this posture in okay, Bhagavan Hanuman. And then we also see this posture basically if there is any sculpture related to Arjuna, if there is. So we find, because we find on temples the events from Ramayana and Mahabharata. So whenever there are such events sculpted on temple walls, you definitely see Arjuna in Alida Mudra. And then the 10th one. Okay, see, there is a purpose. I have given 0 here. See, 0, I feel 0 has more essence, okay, and has got a lot of meaning, shunya, than 10. So purposefully I have given 10 here. But then you can see there is lotus, okay, lotus, this thing, and lotus, basically lotus leaf, actually this is lotus leaf, okay, Padma Patra, is the representation of okay, waters, celestial waters or primordial waters, okay, Patala Loka. And then he is resting his foot on the lotus leaf, indicates that he is okay, setting his foot on the celestial water, the primordial waters, right? And then indication, you see here you have okay, Nagaraja and Nagarani. We have both of them, okay, and see observe this, okay, the sculpture, the murti here, how intricately they are carved. See, Nagarani and Nagaraja, they are in Anjali Mudra. What are they in? Anjali Mudra, in great reverence to the god, okay. And then see the intertwining between okay, their tails, okay, their bodies. That's the beauty. That's the beauty. And see, this takes a civilizational effort to achieve this great feat, this advancement, and it is not possible for everybody on this world, in this world, isn't it? And we Indians have achieved it, and let us be proud of our ancestors. Jai Hind.